Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Soul Space. This Soul Space recording is for August 26, 2024. I am Georgia Rose, your evolutionary astrologer. And the Soul Space is the place that we all gather every Monday night at 7 p.m. to tell our spiritual stories, do a little astrology, maybe some tarot. Sometimes we have inspirational guests. So you never know what's going to happen in the Soul Space with Georgia Rose. So welcome tonight. If this is your first time tuning in, I hope you enjoy the show. You find some of our content meaningful. And I also hope that you interact with our community on YouTube and social media, which I'll give you those addresses and where to find me at the end of the show. So we have quite a week coming up on the heels of quite a week that we had last week. Sorry if my voice is a little hoarse. I've been talking quite a lot today. I'm actually recording this in my home on Sunday, August 25th, for all of you. Usually the last 2 weeks of August, I take off from the show, a little hiatus, because viewership usually goes down. Everyone's very busy with things that's going on. And, it is also the gap week. A lot of people call it in America, of the week that the kids are off from camps and all kinds of extracurricular activities before they go to school. So in my part of the world, it's a very slowed up time. Everyone's kind of on vacation and doing things. So I usually use that as a way to take some time off from the show. But so much has been happening, especially astrologically, that I wanted to be able to stay current and relevant for you guys. So not only have I been doing the soul space for you, whether that's recorded or live, I've tried to make it as relevant as I can and as close to the time of our airing if I'm going to record it so that we know what's going on with the energy. This energy is very, very potent, but I've also committed to doing more lives. So if you are on social media with me, you can find me on Instagram at Zencuda Official and on Facebook at Zencuda Soul Space. You'll see a lot of times I just pop in and I do a live and talk about the energy or an aha moment I had or something that I get that really is relevant. So I hope that you'll allow Zencuda's content and the Zencuda community to guide you. Also, if you're interested in a reading, whether that's a tarot or mediumship or astrological birth chart, I do mostly practice evolutionary astrology, which is the type of astrology that is for your soul's intention and your soul path in this lifetime. Um, Everything that I do and all the content that I put out is really about self-mastery and trying to become better people in the world. We could all use a little bit of that. So I hope that if you're interested in any kind of private consultation, you will go on zencuda.com where you can find me. So, whew, wow, last week was quite a week. The energy was very intense. I feel like everything is just so accelerated. Like things are moving very, very quickly, personally and in the world. Now, if you watch back on a couple of weeks, the podcast that I did the last 2 weeks, you'll find that we really were kind of buckling our seatbelts because we felt that there would be an energy that was definitely going to cause change and surprises. And I didn't feel that so much the beginning of last week, but then by Friday it really came out, especially on the political arena here in the United States and in other countries. And we've also had some tragedies, also that I've seen in the news, not going to dwell on those. But I can't help feeling that all the things that are occurring, even though they may seem subtle and they may seem like they're not really big, sudden surprises in the sense of their intensity, I feel like there's an awful lot of energy going on, kind of being orchestrated that's part of a much bigger process, especially to do with time and the way that time feels. And I think it's because our species, humankind, is really kind of getting quite an evolution on an accelerated level. From an astrological viewpoint, we have a lot of planets in the last degrees of signs. And the last degrees of signs, once you start hitting, 25, 26, on into 30, because there's 30 degrees in each house and each sign. Um, when we start getting into those degrees, what happens is we find that the intensity of that sign, that archetype, like the final degrees of Aquarius, the final degrees of Capricorn, that sign becomes more potent and becomes more amplified, is the word I'm looking for. So we have a lot of signs, a lot of planets right now in the last degrees of signs getting ready in 25 and 2026 to egress into a different sign. And when we have an energy like that in the sky, it can feel like tying up loose ends, but also if you really pay attention, you're going to notice that a lot of things repeat, a lot of energies repeat. And whenever I know where the energy originated from and where it's repeating, I do try to refer to that in my content. Like we have some energy coming in this month, which is very much an energy that was seeded or that was begun in February. So as a result of that, you'll see things, recycling, so to speak. So you will see in this energy, we have a lot of planets retrograde. We've got like 5 planets retrograde, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, Chiron, and Uranus at one point this month. And when you have energy like that, it does tend to have do-overs because if we didn't learn the lesson the first time, and that lesson could just be pay attention to this particular thing or pay attention to a personality trait or a habit that you have, the energy will cycle back around so that we really have to pay attention to it. To give an example, maybe that you are overindulgent with food or money, or you overspend, or you overthink, or you over something. And then Jupiter will hit that part of the sky again, or will hit a transit that refers to that part of the sky where the first time you were taught or something came into your awareness about those things. And now when Jupiter goes either back over that degree or hits a planet that's at that original degree, and they're talking and having a conversation, they're having a transit, sometimes that energy that you had of something being brought into your awareness will come back in. Same thing will happen with people, environments, structures, places. And so this month we do have Pluto finally going back into that 29th degree of Capricorn. So we're going to see a lot of things that were playing out over the last 15 years, especially since 2020, because that's when we had that great conjunction in Capricorn. You're going to see a lot of things start repeating, a lot of themes repeating. COVID is repeating a little bit. I'm noticing a lot more people, um, getting COVID. Things that came up during financial markets are repeating then. A lot of things are coming into the forefront. Really, really interesting. So even our political arena here in the United States is like almost like a repeat of some of the energies we had then. So I want to jump into September's energy, try and give you guys some dates to look out for. Want to talk about, particularly in this video, the first half of September, because we have a really big full moon, which starts eclipse season for us, in Pisces on September 18th. And that full moon in Pisces on September 18th will start as a lunar eclipse. So when we get closer to that energy this month, I'll be doing more content and more reports about that particular transit and the second half of September. There's so much going on. It's too much to do in one show. So today we're going to talk about that first half of September. Particularly, we have a new moon on the 2nd. But before that new moon comes in, guys, guess what? Pluto goes into Capricorn for its very final run, just only a few months. Pluto is in Capricorn. It's retrograded back there, and it will be there. Where's my card? This card, this cue card that I have, you guys always see me use them in the studio when I'm in Strong Island. Today I'm just in my home studio. But this card is my reminder of all these transits for September 24. And I'm just going to like show you on camera. That's how many transits alone are happening this month. This month is fast moving, very changeable. The messages that we're going to receive this month are all kind of themey and about one thing. But the themes will be things that you recognize that we've been talking about for a long time in the soul space and in my content, because this is a wrap up. This is like, with Pluto going back into Capricorn, it's like it's the final poke in the back. It's the final, like, hey, dummy, did you get it yet? That's really what the energy is about. And we'll talk a little more in detail about that. And we'll do that right now. So Pluto goes into Capricorn and it's at the anaretic degree, which is the 29th degree of a sign. Anytime something is at 29 degrees of a sign, we call it the anaretic degree. Now, whenever a planet is at an anaretic degree, it's very powerful and very amplified because it's usually taking all the energy. It started at the first degree of Capricorn back in 2008 and went all the way through all 29, 30 degrees of Capricorn until it reached 0 degree of Aquarius, where it went in January. And now the retrograde cycle comes in and it pushes it backwards a little bit into Capricorn. So that anaretic degree, when a planet is in it or has gone back to it because of a retrograde, is amplified because all of the energy that the planet was absorbing and feeling while it was going through that sign, all 29 degrees, is repeated. It's all in the archetype now. It's got all the information. It's got all the knowledge of all of those transits and everything it's done in the last 15 years, all in one ball of wax in that 29th degree. So when a planet goes into the anaretic degree or the 29th degree, it's said to have the wisdom and the energy of that whole sign and its transit or its journey in there. Think of it as you're an astronaut out in space, like when we were children and we watched Star Trek, or that was a little before my time, maybe like, I don't know, Lost in Space or any one of those things, Star Wars, right? And you're flying around the galaxies for like a million years, or, maybe not a million years if you're a human, but like you're flying around the galaxies for 29 years. And every year you're gathering information and you've had direct experiences that have given you wisdom. And you've also connected with other planets and you've connected with other planets in tension and also in harmony. And all of these things that have happened are all in your energy field now because that's part of your direct experience. Well, that's what it's like when a planet is in the 29th degree of a sign. It's taking all of the experience, the energy, the wisdom that it brought, the transits, everything that has happened energetically to give that planet its frequency while it was in that sign. So if you have planets in late degrees in your birth sign, usually when I read your chart, I'll think about it and I'll say, well, they have, say Venus in the final degrees of Libra. That means that Venus there has absorbed all of the energy that it would normally learn while being in Libra about relationships, diplomacy, understanding how we relate to each other, and that the true balance of relationships is within ourselves. So at a 29th degree, that energy is going to be a lot more powerful than someone who has a planet just entering Libra with a 1 degree. So Pluto in the 29th degree of Capricorn, after transiting that sign for 15 years, has a lot of knowledge, a lot of potency, and a lot of amplification. So it's going to bring back the things that it's been teaching us for the last 15 years. On a personal level, you know what those are. In a global level, well, it's everything that we've seen really heightened since the great conjunction that happened there in 2020, where we've had the, crumbling of structures, of government, of schools, you can watch any one of my podcasts the last couple of years, and we've talked about this. Uranus, when it transited that part of the sky in Taurus and made some tension to Pluto in Capricorn, caused that really eruption and conflict globally of freedom versus restriction, repression versus liberation. We see that all across the globe. And those have been our lessons over the last 15 years, whether it's been with technology, with astrology, with, spirituality, race, government, political stuff, whatever it's been, that has been the overall running theme of everything. Crumbling what's old and no longer works and is causing restriction and repression in order to bring us into a place of liberation and freedom and rebuilding these things. And that's very much held true for the structures in our life. I guarantee there's very few people who in 2005, 2008 were the same person that they are right now today in 2025. Much of that is because of the astrological transits that we've had and the acceleration that's happened, I mean, I can remember my earthbound career, but when I'm not doing this, is as a real estate broker. And I can remember starting in real estate in 1995, and we didn't use the internet. And now my career has spanned 29 years, and it is basically like we depend on the internet for everything. Like I couldn't survive without it and do what I do. So just technology alone has accelerated at such a pace. I remember in the late 80s, the really expensive and really big thing to have was a big, huge phone that was the size of a shoebox. If you ever watch old episodes of Dallas or Dynasty or any of those things, you'll see J.R. Ewing with this big phone. And a very expensive 2-inch TV screen. It was like the size of something. And if you could get one of those, and then you had to pay a fortune for, internet at the time, this is going into the late 80s, early 90s, you would, basically be able to watch a football game, but then your battery would die, And now look what we have. I mean, I walk around my house with an iPad watching things all the time, listening to astrology videos and taking online classes and all kinds of stuff, giving online classes to realtors too, the same way. So that's just the technology. Spirituality, when I first got on the path of spirituality, I never spoke about astrology or Reiki or healing methods when I was in my day-to-day life because it was not accepted. And that's not going back that long. I'd say in the early 2010s, 2010, people were like, "What's Reiki?" People were like, "Oh, you're an astrologer? Like, what's your sign?" Like people were like totally ignorant of opening to those type of things. Crystals, if you told someone that you believed in crystals, they thought you were a whack job. Now it's mainstream. People do Reiki in hospitals. So in the last 15 years, last 10 years especially, we have seen the acceleration of humanity in all ways. So now all that stuff's going to repeat. And once Pluto comes out of that 29th, that anaretic degree of Capricorn, and goes into Aquarius for good, which in my lifetime, it won't be anyplace else. It's going to stay in Aquarius for about 26 years, maybe 30 years. Well, maybe, yeah, maybe 30 years. So if it's 30 years, I may see it in my lifetime. I hope I do. It's not that old. So just remember it's going to repeat and give you the lessons. If you've been paying attention and you've done your work and you've done the lessons, you got nothing to worry about. If you've been ignoring the lessons, they're probably going to, come to roost, especially because, and this is the next thing, we have a new moon in Virgo. But what I wanted to finish that thought and just say, when Pluto does go into Aquarius in November, it starts a whole new cycle for all of us as far as Pluto goes. What is the essence of Pluto? Transformation, deep, deep diving into transformation, like total metamorphosis. That's what Pluto does. You can see the way it metamorphoses to us in Capricorn and the themes of Capricorn, self-mastery, which is why we've had such a spiritual revolution. Um, Structures, which is why our governments and our countries have changed. In the last 15 years, you've seen a lot of things merge and a lot of things become different, adopt different ways of life through their structures and government and cultures. So now in Aquarius, the themes are going to be technology. You're not just going to see AI, you're going to see super AI. You're going to see space and satellites. You're going to see off-planet energy. I would not be surprised if the fact that there is another species or another type of organism that wants to make itself known to us that is off-planet, we're probably going to know about that in the next 5 years or so. I really believe that, based on the acceleration of where the planets are. Also in Aquarius, you're going to have themes such as community and online communities, community and technology, like what we're building here with the Zencuda community. That is absolutely going to accelerate in the next generation. So, think about how do those things play in for you, and maybe it's time for you to find an online community or find a group of people. I study astrology with people from all over the world, and it's beautiful. And we meet online every week, and we've gotten to be such a soul group. And I think that's the way now. It's going to be very scientific, very technological, the way that we build our communities. So that's what's going to happen when Pluto goes into Aquarius. And you're going to see that really start to take off. So look and see in your charts where Aquarius energy is. For me, that's in my third house of communication. So that's why, my business online has really been coming into another level. And the things that I want to do and utilize technology for are coming into another level, not just in my astrological and spiritual career, but also in my earthbound real estate career, where things are accelerating and being done differently as well. So that's the Pluto story. So see where Capricorn and Aquarius, that cusp is in your chart. That's where all the activity is going to be between now and into, 2025. And also you want to look at where Virgo is in your chart, because the next thing that's happening is we have a new moon in Virgo on September 3rd. And this new moon in Virgo is very powerful because it kind of ties in with what I'm talking about as far as all of the structures crumbling and the fact that Pluto in the last degrees of Capricorn is really pushing us to finalize these new ways that we want to look at things. And so a new moon in Virgo is industrious. It's a great time to get organized. Whenever the moon is in Virgo, I always try to clean stuff up and clean out drawers and closets because we have Jupiter in Gemini right now, which is communication. What you want to do with a new moon in Virgo is look at clearing out your communications. Not just the way you speak to yourself, which is very much a Virgo thing, criticism and self-critical, but you want to think about the way you speak to others. Where are you overcritical of others? You also want to think about using your words to heal and using your words when speaking to other people about how you can use your words to heal people and heal rifts and heal, conflicts in the world, right? Virgo energy is also really great for cleaning out, organizing, being the taskmaster of the zodiac, getting things done. You'll have extra energy to do that in this sky on the new moon on the third. And also, the great thing about Virgo energy is it gives us that extra added attention to detail. We can really focus in Virgo energy to get those projects done. So you really want to look at that and make sure that you can do that. I'm just going to pull over my notes so I don't have to keep looking to the side. In a Virgo new moon. The other thing with a Virgo new moon is ask yourself where you can be of service to the world. Because Virgo is all about service to the world and helping others. And like I said, communication with Jupiter and Gem there. This is also cleaning out your communications as far as your emails, your message box on your social media. You want to clean up, your text messages. If you're looking during this new moon to set an intention for something new, this is also a great new moon for health. Virgo is much about health, setting new health routines, going to the gym, new diet, new food. Really great time to take care of the body when a new moon is in Virgo. So if you're thinking about any of those kind of things or a new relationship or a new environment, don't forget with a Virgo new moon and this cycle until we're in the full moon of the 18th of September, don't forget to clear out those old texts that, bring back memories that you don't really need to hold on to. The things from the old mates or, people who've passed over or whatever that you don't want to keep. Also, your phone, get rid of the old emails, texts, pictures, right? This is an energy where Virgo wants us to clean out. Virgo energy is the energy of the harvest. It's the fall time when we're approaching the fall equinox, which is going to happen on September 22nd, when the sun goes into Libra. So, and then we begin autumn officially. So when the sun is in Virgo, that harvesting time, we want to take away what's good and nourishing, the wheat, and separate it from the chaff, the stuff that's not any good, the stuff we're going to throw in the garbage, the waste, the debris. And that's really the essence of Virgo. It separates the waste from what's meaningful. And a lot of times Virgo energy will come in when we're having a transit, major transit in Virgo, like a new moon, and it will disrupt or remove something. We'll have a loss. In a Virgo energy, we'll have a loss. We'll have a an abduction is the word I'm looking for. We'll have an abduction. Something will be taken away from us. But it does that because it's not meaningful, really. We think it is. It may hurt a little bit, but really it does that to show us our own competency, that we can live without this thing. It could be, something that we're clinging to for not good reasons. That's typical Virgo energy. And so in this new moon, we have a beautiful time of the universe taking care of us and removing things from our life that maybe are really the waste or really something taking up space that is preventing something more meaningful and more beautiful and a way to expand more love in our life from coming in. So that's Virgo energy, and that's why it's very critical. The card in tarot that is the Virgo card, I'm going to see if I can bring it up from my tarot, is the Hermit card, and I'll show you online why it's the Virgo card. Virgo energy, here it is, the Hermit. Virgo energy, and this is the Hermit. You guys will probably know the card. It's the Hermit holding up the lantern, and he's looking at it, and he's got his staff in his hand. And the Hermit card is symbolizing Virgo energy because here is someone looking for perfection. They're trying to shine the light on perfection and what perfection is to them and what's meaningful. But if you look at the ground, it almost looks like they're walking on snow and they're hunched over, they're in detriment because they keep searching for perfection. But what this card is really about is the hermit who spends his whole life searching for perfection and not finding it and thinking nothing's good enough. And so they don't go out into the world. What they really need to do is shine the light on themselves and see the perfection within. And the fact that we are all perfectly imperfect. And isn't that the beauty of our own uniqueness? And that's why when Virgo new moons or Virgo full moons or any Virgo energy comes in very prominently, and we currently have other planets in Virgo, when that energy comes in, a lot of times it will make us hypercritical because we don't really want to look at what we need to get rid of. And we don't want to really look at an imperfection that may be perfectly imperfect for us. So, in the Virgo new moon, great intentions to set are for, seeing truth, for being able to clean out the debris, right? Set an intention for anything to do with health, whether it's mental, physical, mind, soul, body. Um, and allow yourself that beautiful energy of surrendering to Mother Earth and beautiful moon and allowing them to speak to you. Go outside in the new moon and just think about what is meaningful to you and what do you need to shed. Like the snakes shedding their skin. They do that because they have a beautiful skin underneath. So think about that and bring that into your life. And then I also wanted to say, remember, I promised that I would tell you guys when the transits bring back energy from a prior time. This new moon brings back peak energy cycle from February 28th this year. February 28th, we had the sun conjuncting Saturn. And now during this new moon cycle, I think it's a day after, the sun is squaring Saturn. So let me look at my chart. So when the sun is squaring Saturn, that brings back the energy of when the sun and Saturn were first together, it ignited an energy. And now when they're square and they're in an energy of tension, that is the opening square that asks something of us. So whatever was going on in your life, February 28th, before you delete your texts and your emails, look at that date, see what you were doing, and see it if it comes around and applies again, or if there's something you didn't finish, or if there's something you really need to look at from that day, because or date or around that time, give or take a few days, either way, because it will recycle. Because the sun is opposite Saturn on the 8th. So full moon comes in on the 3rd. It stirs up that energy a little bit. You've got Virgo energy coming in, which can be, really looking at things, wanting them to be perfect. You may get an urge to finally clean out the closet or sweep off the porch, get all those debris. And then we go through some other cycles, which I'll go with you in a minute. So this new moon is at 11 degrees of Virgo. Look on your chart. What do you have that's 11 degrees of Virgo? Okay. Mars squares Neptune on the same day. Mars squaring Neptune is an energy of sometimes can be rose-colored glasses. If you've been in a relationship and you thought it was really great, in a Mars square Neptune, which occurs on the 3rd of September, and you'll feel that energy a few days before and a few days after, um, in an energy like that, the rose-colored glasses come off, and you'll start to actually see, this isn't as good as I thought it was. Mars will make you want to take action on it, but Neptune won't really let it happen because you're still in a little bit of illusion because Neptune makes us foggy. So when Mars squares Neptune, it's very hard for us to understand what the right action to take is. That energy will dissipate, but we just have to go through it. And then on the 4th, we have Venus opposite the North Node. Venus opposite the North Node is an energy of the things we love and desire and really want. The South Node is on Venus. So what happens is it takes away the energy of it. So we may have a strong desire or a strong knowing of what it is and what we want. And then around the 4th of September, all of a sudden that kind of dissipates a little bit. And we start to think, oh, I'm not really sure. Do I really want this? Well, you know what? I don't have the energy to go get it. And you set these new moon intentions and then you wake up a couple of days or a day later and you're like, I don't think I could do the goal, but just write it out because that energy will change. But with the South Node in there, I'm just going to look at my chart. With Venus, it can be an energy of, you know, sapping the strength. And I know because the South Node passed over my son just recently, and I was just drained all the time. And I said, gosh, what is it? I'm eating enough protein, I'm drinking enough water, I'm just drained. South Node sometimes is an energy field a memory field that will drain us a little bit. Um, and then Mars enters Cancer on the 4th, which is the day right after that new moon in Virgo. Mars in Cancer is an energy that can give us, it's an energy. I'm just gonna it's a little hard to explain because Cancer can be ethereal. It's ruled by the moon. So Mars in Cancer can give us the feeling that we want to take action about our emotions. It makes us want to kind of act out. It makes us want to act out in a way that is sociable and loving or completely isolating and we're going in our shell and the world is a scary place. So with Pluto in Capricorn and Mars in Cancer, they're going to oppose each other at some point. And the thing of it is that Mars stays in Cancer this time around for a very long time. Usually Mars will spend like 3 to 4 weeks in a sign. Mars is going to be in Cancer until November. So let me just go over with you a little bit about, I'm going to look on my notes, about the Mars in Cancer energy. So, sorry, I'm turning my pages. So Mars in Cancer will oftentimes make us want the truth because it's the moon and it's integrity and it's the way that we, find our nurturing, our what's real to us, our safety, our home within. So a lot of times with when Mars is in Cancer, it can make us feel like we want to do something and act out something or pursue something or take an action for something to stabilize our own security. But what you want to do with Mars in Cancer is stabilize your inner security. So it's a great time to be assertive about your own agency, your own authority, what is integrity to you. And it's also a great time to actually have a conversation instead of going in the shell like the crab, instead of isolating. It's a great time for you to sit down and have some heartfelt conversations because Cancer energy is big-hearted energy, it's compassion. So when Mars is there, we have the opportunity to find a lot more compassion in the world, but we have to be present to do that. We have to stay connected. And a lot of times Cancerian energy makes us want to, pull the covers over our head like the little crab. So make sure with that Mars in Cancer, you're asking yourself, what is really for my best interest? What is really going to make me safe? Is going home and pulling the covers and not talking to this person and giving them the cold shoulder and acting crabby going to keep me safe? No, that's a false sense of self-preservation, which will happen because Neptune was involved with that square with Mars in Cancer. So you want to make sure that you're really using the highest octave of Cancer energy, which is this beautiful, big-hearted, open, finding your joy within, finding your inner landscape to stabilize you, etc. And then on the 7th, now we're going into the week. Now the 7th, Mercury squares Uranus. When Mercury squares Uranus, September 7th is a day. We're coming off the Labor Day weekend then. We're back to school and back to work. When I see, Mercury squaring Uranus, I always say to myself, that's a good day not to talk a lot. That's a good day to say what you need to say with few words, because when Mars squares Uranus, it's our energy, it's our aggression. It can be warlike. And Uranus right now is in Taurus, which is it's got a lot of conversations going on with a lot of other planets. So with Uranus squaring Mercury, you really want to make sure your communication is premeditated because in an energy where Mercury and Uranus are having a conversation of tension, that's an energy where things will get blurted out. Things will be said that people didn't mean to say. Emails will be sent that shouldn't have been sent. You'll be talking privately to someone in your company and all of a sudden you hit everyone in the company and they get the email or, things like that will happen around a Mercury square Uranus. And that's the 7th. And that energy will be with us a few days before and a few days after. So be really careful what you say and what you communicate in that energy. Also, when Mercury is squaring Uranus, because Uranus is in Taurus, that can be money. It could be the financial markets. It could also be food supplies because that's also, an earth sign. So around that time, after Labor Day weekend into the 7th, that's when you're probably going to see some communications come out about things that are very unexpected. And on the 8th, that's the day that the sun opposes Saturn. And that's the energy that repeats from February 28th. Now, with these kind of transits, also ask yourself, was there something going on around February 28th where I misspoke or I had an argument or I said something or what was going on in the media or globally around February 28th that maybe more information is going to come out with Mercury squaring Uranus because that's the energy of all those planets interplaying. Something that happened in the beginning of the year in February repeats. We get more communication about it. It's a limitation. It's a restriction because the sun is opposing Saturn, which is our authorities, and that will happen. But also the energy can be used to help us break out of our limitations and restrictions because Uranus wants us to be liberated. And that's what a lot of these conflicts have been about. They've been about conflict resolution to become more liberated. That's why the conflicts are arising. So it's really a great thing. So that's the 8th, 9th. And then on the 9th, Mercury goes into Virgo. And remember what I said about Virgo energy? Mercury is our communication. So now we can be a little hypercritical, and that's coming on the heels of that Mercury squaring Uranus, which is shocking, surprising, aha moments, the great awakener, right? Inspiration. So when Mercury goes into Virgo, it can be those things in a hypercritical way. It can also be a communication of loss, so that we now have to stand in our own competency and find our own agency and really become liberated. And that's what the energy is going to kind of be like. And I hope that all makes sense for you guys. And then on my next show, I'm going to be off on Labor Day, which we won't have a show that Monday, but we will I will do some lives for you so you'll know what the energy is. Because then we get into the 12th and the teens of September. And on the 18th, we've got that full moon in Pisces, which is an eclipse. And that's when eclipse season begins. And during that full moon in Pisces, the sun is trining Uranus, Mercury's opposite Saturn. That's a really big week for us. We've got the sun opposite Neptune, Mercury square Jupiter, and the sun trining Pluto, and then the sun goes into Libra and we have the autumn equinox. That's going to set the tone for the whole autumn that we have until December 22nd. It's a lot of energy, but it's energy that's really great because the themes overall, I'm going to tell you, the themes that we're in right now, and these will be true for the globe, you'll see them play out, and you'll also see them in your own lives. Because we have Uranus in those last degrees of Taurus, Uranus is in like 26, 27 degrees of Taurus right now, and it's never been that far in the sign since it went into that transit in 2017 when it went into Taurus, but also the last time that Uranus was in those degrees of Taurus was right before Pearl Harbor. So I'm not saying that's going to happen again. I'm just saying that even that was about liberating the world and changing the way we do things, changing governments, right? I'm not talking about the warlike part. I'm talking about the evolution part. So, because yes, Uranus is the planet of evolution and revolution and awakening. So Uranus in that same degree of the zodiac now, there's other transits and other planetary things going on that are different now, but that just gives you an idea of the amount of change that Uranus in the final degrees of Taurus will happen. I have a feeling that's going to happen in financial markets and also in government structures. I think that we're also going to see, I don't know if any of you saw RFK's speech the other day on Friday, the 23rd. Watch it in its entirety on YouTube. I'm not endorsing any political race. I don't have a horse in the race. I don't believe in that kind of power. I believe in a much higher power than politics. But what I will say is that there was a portion of his speech that I literally had tears in my eyes because he talked about the food supply. And this is something I've known for many, many years. People who know me in my personal life, I do not eat any processed foods. If it came out of a can, a bag, a jar, or a box, Georgia isn't eating it. So I'm completely holistic in what I put in my body. I'm a cancer survivor, and I truly believe that most cancers are environmental from what we eat. So I don't eat anything processed or anything with chemicals in it. And he spoke a lot about that in his speech. And it was amazing to finally hear someone talking about that the way he was. So Google that speech because it was amazing. And Uranus in the final degrees of Taurus is all about the food supply, all about it. And in 2025, Uranus will be going into, actually 2026, Uranus will be going into Gemini. So that'll change the energy up. So this is an energy of truth and awakening. All right. Look for those themes in your life. It's our sense of authenticity. All right. This is what we're, and when I say what this energy is about, I mean, up until, we go into almost the final weeks of this year of 2025. These are the themes that are going to be major. Coming into our own sense of authenticity. Uranus now at the later degrees is going to really amplify that. This is about the habits that you need to change, the environments you need to change, things that you need to do for your own growth and self-mastery. Pluto and Capricorn, all about that self-mastery. This is a sign from the universe. You will get signs from the universe about following your own intuition. This is about us really zoning into it. For the last many years, I'm going to say since 2014, I've been talking about how all of this energy is occurring, the light codes, the things that we have going on in the world, the frequency we're all feeling, the messages that we're all downloading, the fact that we're all connecting on a much bigger level. I mean, when I first started to do readings and connect with astrology and mediumship and tarot, I had to, meditate a little bit beforehand and go into a certain space in order to read or have messages come. Now messages just come. And that's not something unique to me. It happens for all of us. Some of us just block it. And so that's the evolution of our species. And I've been talking about this since 2014 because that's my direct experience. But especially since 2020, the acceleration of humanity and the acceleration of our species has been amplified to the ninth degree. Now we're going to see it amplified even more. In 2025 and 2026, many of our planets go into other signs in the zodiac. So many, in fact, that when you go back into the history of astrology as thousands of years and look at what we call ephemeris, calendars of the planetary transits, we are going to be in energy in 25 and 26 and beyond that we have no record of ever being in. This is, the powers that be, whatever higher power you believe in, giving us energy to really evolve to a place that we've only dreamed of. So that's the energy right now. You're being pushed to become better person, but that's like the kindergarten version. You're being pushed to come into your own intuition, your own inner authority, your own agency, knowing what you know to be true. Shut off the externals because you don't need them. You don't need to turn on the media. You already know what's happening. You just have to tap into it. This is about separating the wheat from the chaff. Like I said, Virgo energy, you want to separate what no longer works to what works. This is also about deep diving into things that cause change in your life. Where have themes been repeating and where do you need to step up? Do you need to have a clearing or a Reiki healing? Do you need to have in-depth psychotherapy if that floats your boat? Do you need to have some kind of a process that brings you into the bigger process of your own soul's intention and your own soul's change? This is also, like I said before, energy of community. And this is also bringing us all into a higher consciousness. This is us as a species learning to adapt to a higher consciousness. We can be cynical about the world, and many of us are, myself included at times, but instead of getting your information and being fed frequencies that make you cynical, make you fearful, make you in negative, what I've done is I've shut those off. I don't listen to the news only enough to stay current if I need to know anything in the world. I have gone out and found a community that is loving people, that are people who are much higher consciousness, who are evolved into spirituality, who are evolved just into a knowingness, and it's not secular. It's not any particular religion or any particular belief system. It's just a group of people who are really working on their own self-mastery and their own inner voices and their own inner authority. Find that. It can be your church. It can be a mom group. It can be you like to go play tennis and everyone's like-minded and they're trying to, up their game. And in doing so, they're having kind of, a spiritual awakening and self-mastery about their own abilities. That's really the energy now, is whatever the modality is, whatever the avenue, the pathway is, you want to go into an energy where you're expanding yourself. You are going into a higher consciousness, humility, integrity, simplicity, authenticity. This is all of it. This is going to be heightened and heightened and heightened. And so globally, as this gets heightened and we become into our own sovereignty and we become sovereign over ourselves, of course, the world's going to change because we've been living in environments for the last couple of hundred years, more than that, where society has been the sovereign. And now each individual person has the energy to be able to be sovereign within themselves and know what's right for them and embrace their own uniqueness and their own authority and their own intensity and integrity to do that. And that's really where the energy is going. It's not going to go back any place, although we will have a lot of switchbacks and a lot of do-overs in energy showing us that. Where's your authority? Where are you giving away your authority? Where are you feeling like you're not enough and you really are enough? What do you need to do to expand your own agency, your own authority in your life, that you know what truth is within you and you're allowing yourself to live it because that's your soul's intention. That's how your soul wants to awaken and activate itself in this lifetime. So that's really the energy. I'm going to pull some cards for just, I've been, for whatever reason lately, I'm really drawn back to tarot. And I wasn't doing a lot of tarot over the last couple of years. Really fell out of the habit, but they're calling me heavily into tarot cards. It's just maybe the way they want to communicate with me right now, my guides in spirit. But Spirit, please give me three cards for the energy in the world for this week, August 26th, up until September 5th. Okay, I'm going to pull three cards telling me to cut the deck. Got that. Got it again. Okay. Okay. One, two, three. Okay, Knight of Cups comes in. Knight of Cups is an energy of, I'm just going to put it, there you go. Knight of Cups is an energy of emergency. I call it my 911 card sometimes. When the Knight of Cups comes in, though, he's like the hero. He's somebody who saves the day. So if you have been feeling overwhelmed or you feel like you need a rescue, call on this beautiful Knight of Cups. A lot of times I feel like his energy aligns with Archangel Michael because he's wonderful at coming in and giving us the strength that we need in order to make the changes we need in our life. And especially in this new moon in Virgo that's coming up this week, you're going to find that that's absolutely going to be an energy where maybe we do need assistance and call in the assistance of Archangel Michael. The cup is abundance. If you look at this card, you'll also see that he's walking through water. Cups are motion. There's a lot of yellow light or golden light at his feet, which means that he is actually protected. And if you look, the horse is looking proud, almost demure, and he's got the cup filled with good wishes and abundance. And of course, on his helmet is the wing, which symbolizes the angel, the angelic realm, and bringing us beautiful messages. So call on Archangel Michael, call on the Knight of Cups to bring you some beautiful energy. The next card I got was the Sun card in reverse, which means it came up upside down. When the Sun card is this way, the Sun card is a beautiful energy of health and vitality. It was in the upside down position, which is just a caution from the universe, a reminder from the universe to take care of our health. This could also be a card, especially if anyone out there is pregnant or knows somebody who's pregnant or expecting a baby or trying to conceive. This is a card to take care of yourself. Do some self-care. The Sun card is definitely the card of health in tarot, and with Virgo energy is all about health. So they're really showing us in this new moon for Virgo that we want to pay attention to our health and get healthier. And then I pulled the World card. The World card, and to have two major arcana cards, the Sun and the World, in this spread really means that, I hate to say it, we may be coming on a time when health becomes a focus in the world, whether that's because of our food supply or whether it's because something happens with food supply or health as far as what we're eating or something to do with food, maybe a drought or maybe an overabundance. I can't say, but something will definitely come out, I think, with the food supply. I just feel like that's coming. But the World card is balance. It's, if you look at this card very closely and you look in the corners, it shows us four different little pictures. And those pictures are symbolic of ourselves having our own authority and our own agency and sovereignty in all areas of our life, the spiritual, the material, the physical, and the emotional. So these cards are really cards that were really, really pulled wonderfully. They're telling me to pick one more card to confirm the reading, which I will do. This is a great card for all of us. This is the Eight of Pentacles. And the Eight of Pentacles is hard work paying off. So in this energy coming into the end of August and the beginning of September, like I said, we're starting a new season. We're headed towards the harvest. This is reaping what you sow. So if you've been a really good girl or a really good boy and you've been doing your Saturn work and doing your work in the world, you're going to reap a lot of benefit. If you've been not so good and you've been ignoring all the signs from the universe to make changes or to grow and bring more love in your life, then you're probably not going to reap a reward. So this is a very beautiful card that hard work does pay off. So Let's get in there and do the things that the universe is showing us. And I will be back here next week on the Soul Space after Labor Day. The Labor Day show will be taped, but maybe it'll be a repeat. But I'm going to have a beautiful time off creating more beautiful things for you guys. And I just want to thank everyone who's been supportive of my work. If you're looking for a reading, zencuda.com, you can book directly on the site. It actually gives you the appointment and everything. And I'll see you out there. Watch for my lives on Zencuda Official on Facebook and Zencuda Official on Instagram and Zencuda Soul Space on Facebook. Love you all. Have a beautiful week. Bye-bye.